Okay, on to 3.2 where we're going to solve equations still, this time using multiplication and division. Okay, some key terms here: inverse operations, which we dealt with the last unit. We talked about when we add, when we have addition, we're going to use subtraction to get rid of terms. Okay, and then if we had subtraction, we're going to use addition to get rid of terms. Alright, same thing here in this unit. We're going to use multiplication to get rid of division, and we're going to use division to get rid of multiplication terms. The other thing we're going to talk about here is reciprocal, which we learned in the previous units. Okay, remember that's the number flipped around, so if we have 1/2, the reciprocal of 1/2 is 2 over 1, or just 2. If it was 4, then the reciprocal is 1/4. Okay, because we have this invisible 4 over 1 over here, and then 2/3 is 3 over 2. Just the number flipped around. We're going to also talk about properties of equality, which we kind of dealt with in the last section. We're just going to give some names to it on what we're technically doing. Alright, dividing on each side. Let's start with that. So we had equivalent equations before, alright, and we had to solve for x by balancing out the equation. Okay, in this section we're going to divide on each side in order to balance our equation. Okay, the first problem here we have 5x equals 3. Well, that means 5 times x equals 3. Okay, so we have to get rid of this 5. Since it's multiplication, 5 times x, we're going to use division to get rid of it. We're going to use that inverse operation of division. Alright, so we're going to divide by 5 to get rid of the 5. Okay, and we could do that because 5 divided by 5 is what? 1. Alright, we're left with 1x, or just x. Okay? So since we divided one side by 5, to balance our equation, we have to divide the other side by 5. So we're left with x on the left side equals 3 divided by 5, which we can't really do. We'll just leave it as a fraction, 3/5. Now we're going to check this. Alright, our original equation is 5x equals 3. And we're going to substitute the value for x, which we found is 3/5, and see if it works. Well, 5 times 3/5, we could simplify. Remember, cross canceling. 5 goes into itself one time, and that should equal 3. So we have 1 times 3, 1 times 1. 3 over 1 equals 3. Yeah, 3 divided by 1 is 3. 3 equals 3. Okay, next problem, 6x equals negative 30. In order to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 6 to cancel it out. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do the other side. So now we have x equals negative 30 divided by 6. Well, I know 30 divided by 6 is 5, and then a negative, one negative here. Negative divided by a positive is negative. Let's check it out. 6x equals negative 30. I'm going to substitute negative 5 in for x. Let's see if it equals negative 30. 6 times negative 5, yeah, that's negative 30. So it worked out. Okay. Now we're going to multiply on each side, and I'm just going to rewrite some of these equations because I know x, this is supposed to be x divided by 4 equals 24, and then this is supposed to be negative n divided by 8 equals negative 7. Just rewrite it. Okay, so since it's division, we're going to use multiplication to get x by itself, or whatever variable we're going to use. Alright, so we have x divided by 4 in our first one equals 24. So we're going to multiply both sides by 4 to get rid of the 4 in the denominator. we're going to get a large number here. So these cancel out here. I'm left with the x equals 24 times 4. You may need a calculator for. I believe it's 100, 96. Yeah. Alright, and we're going to check that. We have x over 4 equals 24. And we're going to sub the value in. 96 divided by 4 equals 24. 96 divided by 4 is 24. And we get 24 equals 24. Next one, we have negative n over 8 equals negative 7. Now, with this problem here, we also want to get rid of this negative side. Okay, so we're not just going to multiply by 8, we're going to multiply by negative 8. That will get rid of the negative sign, so we're just left with n on this side. Alright, and it'll also get rid of the 8. So we have to multiply this side also by negative 8. Negative 7 times negative 8. Well, we learned that if we have an even amount of negatives, or two negatives, we're going to get a positive number. So 7 times 8 is 56, and we're going to keep it positive. Let's sub it in. Negative n over 8 equals negative 7. We got 56 for n. So I'm just going to sub that value in. Negative 56 divided by 8 is negative 7. And we get negative 7 equals negative 7. Alright, reciprocals. So reciprocals, I'm going to rewrite this. 2/3 x equals 10. Negative 20 equals 4/5 x. Okay, with reciprocals, or when you have fractions with multiplication, we're going to multiply it by the reciprocal. Okay, so 2/3 x equals 10. We want to get rid of the 2/3, so we have x by itself. So I'm going to multiply it by the reciprocal. Now in doing that, what happens is we can cross cancel. Okay, since it's the same number on both sides. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do it to the other. And I'm going to be left with 10 times 3/2, or 10 over 1 times 3/2. 10 times 3 is 30. I'm going to write it here. 1 times 2 is 2. And then you could do 30 divided by 2 if you can, or just simplify the fraction. I could do 30 divided by 2. That's 15. Okay, and we're not going to check here because of timing. Alright, this one, I know it's written in reverse. We're still going to multiply by the reciprocal, and if you can't fit it in between the equal sign, we're just going to do it over here. The reciprocal of 4/5 is 5/4. Cross cancel. Left with x over here. Make sure you multiply both sides. Okay. I could simplify 4 and 20. 4 goes into 20. 20 divided by 4 is 5, so I'm left with negative 5 over here. Don't forget about this sign. And then 4 divided by 4 is 1. 5 times negative 5 is negative 25. And then 1 times 1 is 1. So I get negative 25 over 1, which is just negative 25. Alright, some of the properties of equality. We've been covering this, but we're just going to give it a name. The addition property of equality is when we add to both sides. If we have x minus 3 equals 7, we're going to add 3 to both sides. That's this adding 3 to both sides is called the addition property of equality. Okay, the subtraction property of equality is when you subtract a number on both sides. The multiplication property of equality is when you multiply a number on both sides. Okay, and then the division property of equality is when you divide a number on both sides. Okay, So this property here, when we do the same thing on both sides, equality means we're doing the same thing on both sides. All right, and it just depends on what we do, whether it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. That's the technical term for what we've been doing with these inverse operations. All right, let's look at a word problem and finish up this section. A friend is trying to restore old music CDs by downloading them onto the computer. He could download 6 songs per hour. Let X equal the number of hours it'll take him to complete all 130 songs. Write an equation to help solve. Okay, so he's downloading 6 songs per hour. Okay, anytime you see per, that's usually an indication that it's multiplication. Alright, let X equal the number of hours it'll take. Alright, and he has 130 songs. Okay, so we have 6 songs per hour. Okay, so 6 songs per hour times the amount of hours will equal 130 songs. Okay, and let's see if we could solve this. Divide both sides by 6. Okay, because it's multiplication, so we're going to do division to get rid of it. We get X equals 130 divided by 6. You're going to get 21.67. So what that means is it's going to take about 21 hours or almost 22 hours to download. We'll round up. It's a long day. Alright. I want you guys to complete the practice problems in the textbook. Page 141, 22 to 36 even, number 42 and 44.